When you arrive at the... Okay, so where do we leave off? Oh, it's day 2 of the conference. We're entering day 2. When you arrive at the office, everyone welcomes you warmly. Guys, I'm handing the floor over to our Italian friend, Professor Lorenzo Riggi. Good morning, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here. Today we'll chat about myths and legends that have stood the test of time and continue to influence our culture. The myths of ancient Greece in particular are an endless source of inspiration and wisdom. They are like a mirror through which we can observe the complexities of the human condition and the dynamics that have shaped our civilization. Last night, I tweaked my presentation a bit to reflect the interesting thoughts I heard yesterday. The ability the ancient Greeks had to explore the human soul is just mind-blowing. Without a doubt, it's one of the most fascinating creations sprung from the human imagination. Odysseus, Perseus, Jason, Orpheus, Narcissus, and many others are the stars of amazing stories. Jason, a prince ousted by his brother, sets off on the ship Argo with a bunch of adventurous young folks, the Argonauts, in search of the Golden Fleece, a ram's skin covered in gold, symbolizing ambition and wealth. They are brave sailors who have to overcome many challenges but love their adventurous life. Jason meets Medea, a sorceress, falls in love and has 2 children with her, but then betrays her, so Medea kills his lover and her own children. The great adventurous journey ends in tragedy when Jason gets foolishly struck by a wave while on his ship. That's the moral of the story. Heroes can't act petty and betray their cause, or they'll meet a trivial ruin. Thank you, Lorenzo. Your presentation was beautiful. I'm sure everyone appreciated it. Oh, that's it? Cool. I have a question. Why among many did you choose the myth of Jason? Yeah, we'll bring back in Innsmouth, I guess. I was undecided about which to choose. During the 2 days before our meetings, I spent a lot of time at sea, and someone told me an old story about a group of young and adventurous sailors. It reminded me of this myth. It inspired me. Before the conference, I spent a couple days diving in the ocean. The seaside village that hosted me was once an important port thanks to this group of guys. Until then, they were reckless, obsessed with the desire for adventure. Sure, the boys from Innsmouth. One of them is my family's ancestor. You're right, their story echoes the ancient Greek myth you told us. Thanks again, Lorenzo. Friends, I now give the floor to Priya LeMay, PhD in computer science at Stanford. Please tell me we don't have to listen to anyone else talk. I don't want to. Ugh, I think we're gonna have to. Priya is an expert in artificial intelligence and not a boring historian like most of us. Okay, that was uncalled for. That was really uncalled for. I'm not a boring historian. I need to get comfortable. I'm like not even comfortable. I need to get comfortable. I'm gonna be here for a while. But she also has a master's degree in psychoanalysis. Why does my neck hurt all of a sudden? It's kind of worrisome. Oh well. And she comes from a land rich in spirituality, India. She's the right person to explain to us what impact the era of artificial intelligence will have on the profound aspects of the human soul. Priya is a 4-year-old Indian of exotic and refined beauty. She wears a very simple dark green traditional dress. She begins her presentation in a calm tone. Thank you, Tom, for the introduction. I listened to your presentations with great interest. Many of you have referred to the ultra-sensory abilities, dreams, myths, and imagination of human beings. Okay, I guess I'll ask questions. What can artificial intelligence do? Already today, artificial intelligence is able to enhance the power of the 5 senses. Some special units of the Army have helmets that make sight and hearing much sharper, and these technologies are also being experimented with in the medical field. Soon, we will not only have super sight and super hearing, but all the senses will be amplified and even physical strength. But that's not all. Thanks to artificial intelligence, we can also delve into the psyche. We all know that augmented reality is already capable of making what is actually only virtual perceived as absolutely real. Just connect a human being to a visor, a cell phone, or a computer, and the game is done. And by giving them a simple and harmless neurological drug, the effect can be multiplied hundreds of times. The day's going well, there's lunch, then the question session. At 4 p.m., you return to your hotel. Throughout the day, you manage not to think about what happened the previous night, but as soon as the day of meetings is over, the face of the old man with sad eyes comes back to your mind. You decide to take a long walk. You're not hungry, and you stop at a beer for a bar. Wait. You stop at a bar for a beer. You walk absorbed in your thoughts for a couple of hours. You think. Could there be a rational explanation for all the strangeness that has happened to me since I arrived in the USA? I think America is just strange. Cell phone and PC turning on by themselves and displaying unknown people. A situation in the room similar to an earthquake that no one else felt. An island on the horizon coming to life with huge tentacles, 80 meters deep in the seabed over 4 minutes apnea without effort. That is kind of crazy, actually. The sea lighting up, the breath and heartbeats of some mysterious creature. A submerged wall painted over 100 years ago, not to mention the dreams I'm having. Speaking of all this together, I get scared and to think that these things really happen to me. Or at least that's what it seems. May all that be a hallucination. Do I want to go the rational route on this? Or do I want to go the non-rational route? I'm a very like rational person, so typically I would go rational, but I kind of want to do the crazy option because I can. Innsmouth is a cursed place. It could be the home of sex, and mysterious cults, maybe even Satanism. There must be something hidden, and maybe the rumors about the treasure are true, and there's many people looking for it. All those hooligans around, you don't understand why they go to live in such a desolate place. And then the constantly changing weather, I've never seen so much electricity in the sky. And the sea with that unreal brightness and the breath in the depths, I feel panicky again just thinking about it. These thoughts put you in a bad mood. Perk up. At 9 p.m., you return to your room in Italy. It's still night. You would like to call your girlfriend, whom honestly you've thought about very little these days. That's crazy! That's crazy! Man, he ain't shit. You turn on the TV and spend an hour watching some sports without really focusing. You go to bed and fall asleep shortly after. A jingling sound wakes you up in the middle of the night. Your phone has received a message. You fumble around the nightstand in the dark to find it and grab it. The old man is on the screen. At this time, someone is talking to him. It's two other elderly folks. They must have drowned. Going out to sea in this weather was a crazy idea. I don't get the obsession with the sea. Hopefully, they found shelter on the beach. They didn't go to sea. How can you be so sure? The statuette is gone. Helen would never have left without it. If she were at sea, the statuette would still be in its place. She left with her daughter. Helen Isabella, I guess making the papers disappear didn't work. She always said those old sketches were very important to her family. Apparently that wasn't enough. They left without them. The shot widens. Oh. The child from the night before appears, always from the back, so you only see his black hair. He's close to the old man, caressing him while he sits on the ground playing. Then the child turns around disheartened. Mom! Mom! You start panicking, it feeling like the floor is vanishing beneath your feet. You're dizzy, seeing yourself as a child and not even 3 years old on your phone screen. That is not English. You start to remember everything. Oh, okay. Let's think about the house I lived in as a child. The garden, it was beautiful and vast. The trees, the benches, and the swing. I spent so much time here. Maybe that's why I'm such a good little swimmer. I did a lot of swimming when I was a kid. There was a house. I remember now. It was very big. There was a staircase leading to my room. It was always sunny. It was beautiful there. I had forgotten everything, but now I'm seeing images of that time again. I was very little. I already said that, didn't I? I don't remember. The next morning, you do everything you can to keep cool, but you can't stop thinking about what happened last night. Oh, is this a 3-day conference? I guess so. You get to the meeting right on time, greet everyone with a smile, and take your usual seat, however you don't talk to anyone. Mom and Jelly kicks off the session. He's up first this morning. My friends, as you know, I've been an archaeologist for 40 years. I specialize in prehistoric civilizations. We're used to thinking of early humans as savages, but we have evidence that tells us otherwise, as they were already advanced civilizations 10,000 or 20,000 years ago, now extinct. They were capable of building cities in lagoons and underground that today only live in legends. Many peoples who had reached a significant level of civilization for their time have mysteriously vanished, and we don't know why. Believing that nature hides devastating forces unknown to us isn't crazy. The symbols of these inexplicable forces become idols, often older than human history itself. At that point, Angeli pulls out a dark green statuette from a bag made of a strange stone. It's not natural rock, but has almost geometric black and gold streaks. You recognize it right away, even though it's now shiny and not covered in algae. It's anthropomorphic, animal-like, with octopus tentacles falling from the head, small wings, and large claws on the feet. Wow, where have we seen this before? This is a religious idol from an ancient and now unknown animistic ritual. For the faithful, it holds immense absolute power because it represents their god. It dates back to about 20,000 years ago. According to the myth, 3 statuettes were made to depict this deity using different rare stones, and no one is allowed to carve another one. Their place is in the sea. Wait, we found one of them, didn't we? It's a strange, extremely violent ritual, and evidence suggests it had followers in far-flung regions. It was practiced in the Arctic as well as Haiti, parts of Africa, and the seas of New Caledonia. The myth refers to an ancient people now disappeared, driven from their land, and forced to live in the sea. Their homeland was originally a thriving lagoon city built on 1,000 islets in the Pacific Ocean. Some inscriptions tell of a group of sea nomads who gradually submerged their remaining land, forcing them to endure hardship and live as fish-like people. They got their food by diving 60 to 70 meters deep and holding their breath for over 10 minutes. Pause. Are we one of them? Surely not. The god's malevolence is driven by his desire for revenge against those who wronged his people. The statuettes must be moved by the faithful from one continent to another so that the power of the deity can extend all over the seas. Someone in the audience asked Tom, "Tom, how did you get it?" "It's been in my family for about 150 years. It's made, as you can see, of a very particular stone. The shiny reflections are due to the antimony in the stone." Father Joe intervenes, excited. Antimony, the raw material of the Philosopher's Stone. That statue represents the devil. Joe, Philosopher's Stone, devil? I don't think so. Actually, it's probably from a meteorite. Yo, I think it's from the devil. It was recovered recently, but for the last 30 years it's been underwater at the bottom of the sea. Wait, is that the same one we found? You notice that Tom's blue eyes seem lighter, now a pale sky blue? According to the legend, every 33 years for 50 days after the summer solstice, the 3 statues can be brought to the surface and stay away from the sea. But only the faithful who are pure of heart, that is, free of greed and personal ambition, will be able to take them without dying and release the great spirit which lies in darkness hidden from humans. This year is precisely the 33rd year. Father Joe intervenes again, sounding worried. He points to the statuette. "Tom, this ritual is the same one that has caused violence and death wherever it has taken root. The group delusions of its followers always end in bloodbaths. I thought this was old news, done and over with." "Joe, as far as I know, there are still small groups of believers scattered around the globe. Haven't heard of the problems you're talking about. It's one of many forms of animism, and its rituals are peaceful." You get the clear feeling that Tom and Jelly's response is evasive. Let's ask him questions. "Tom, as you know, I retrieved that idol from a depth of 80 meters. Okay, well, we clocked it, so we did. we got that to him somehow. "I was wondering who could have placed it so carefully that deep among a pile of rocks. It must not have been easy." "Good question. I don't have an answer for you. Maybe one of my ancestors was capable, like you, of swimming that deep. I've been wondering about it since I found the statue. Placing it among the rocks in a way that currents wouldn't free it must have taken quite some time. Even using tanks, it must have been a feat." Tom laughs in response. "Who knows? Maybe it was the god's followers, the fish people with fin feet." Everyone laughs. I think that he was serious, and that wasn't a joke. The morning of presentations goes by quickly with 3 more speeches. As usual, there's a lunch break, during which Tom approaches you with Priya. "Lorenzo, are you okay? I was talking to Priya about the extraordinary powers of augmented reality, and we came up with the idea of doing an experiment with someone from our friends here at the conference." "So you're just going to experiment on me? What is this?" "Would you like to do it? You're caught off guard, but you're curious. Why not? Gladly." "Perfect. Let's let everyone go so we can do the test calmly." Ellie joins you. What is this? "Priya, you're a very charming woman, and coming from another woman, it's a great compliment. Which part of India are you from?" "Thank you, you're very kind. I was born in Ladakh, which is a small region at the foothills of the Himalayas. I've heard about it. They say it's a beautiful and very spiritual place." "I think so. Everyone around there has done meditation exercises, including me, since childhood. At 15, I won math competitions, and a couple of years later, a scholarship here in the USA to study computer science at university. Despite my scientific studies, I have always kept alive my interest in spirituality and the human soul, so I graduated in psychology 13 years ago. It's extraordinary. I say you are a very fascinating woman." Everyone laughs. What kind of experiment do you intend to do on me? The one on layered memory that I described during my talk. Tom told me about you, and you seem like an interesting guinea pig. If someone described me as an interesting guinea pig, I would crash out. At 4 p.m., everyone leaves the meeting room. That leaves you, Tom, Ellie, and Priya. Let's go to my office. Priya, oh, this is not English. Lorenzo, you should wear the helmet and gloves. Then check if the radio connections are working. What is happening to me? What does the experiment consist of? Augmented reality is used to awaken layers of lost memory. Okay, so we're gonna remember my childhood, probably. Tom said you are also a psychoanalyst. Yes, I'm qualified as an analyst, but I don't practice. Psychoanalysis is useful for my work on artificial intelligence. I use it for a series of studies and experiments on dreams, stimulating imagination, layered memory, etc. Everything is ready. Tom is next to you. Ellie stays further away. Someone turns off the light. Images of a small town start appearing on the computer screen. It looks European, perhaps Italian, by the sea, very sunny. You remember living there when you were a kid. You recall the big two-story house with a yard and a sea view. The sunny days and the rainy ones, with the wind slamming rain against the window panes. How do they know my childhood house? Then an old man appears. It's the same guy you saw on the computer, and now you're with a younger man and some elderly folks. You start feeling a bit tense. Why does everyone know everything about me? This is your grandfather, and the other man is your dad. What? How do you know them? Did you study my family history? Oh, you're blinded by anger. T. How does Tom know who they are? He owes me an explanation. I could explain everything. I, what are you up to? Why did you bring me here? Lorenzo, calm down. Okay, wait, okay, listen. Tom and Ellie have been weird since the start. But who is Priya? Didn't we meet her yesterday? Does Homegirl know about me too, or was she just kind of dragged into all this? Let's take this one step at a time. Remember the night of the storm? The one where your grandma Helen and your mom Isabella disappeared? Oh, Helen and Isabella are our family. You feel a sharp pain. You're annoyed by Tom's lack of sensitivity bringing up such painful memories. How do you know all this? Anyway, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Tom, why are you doing this to me? I promise everything will make sense in due time. Now try to think. I don't know anything about that night. I already told you. Dad has always told me that Mom died, and he moved to Rome with me to move on. He never wanted to go back to the house in Liguria. Okay. Let's try something else. Think hard, Lorenzo. Leave me alone. You were there in Liguria before your mom left. Left? Who the hell are you? How do you know all this? I'm calling the cops. Lorenzo, Helen was my mom's cousin. Oh, we're related. I'm sorry you had to find out this way, but it was necessary for you to try to remember on your own. Why didn't you tell me right away? I have my reasons, I'm sure you'll understand. Tom, why didn't my mom and grandma leave? I thought they died. Oh, they did. They left and died. It was very important that they return to America. He seems evasive on the subject. Now, Lorenzo, what do you see? Can you remember? What did Grandpa and the uncle say about the statuette? And what about the rest of Helen's stuff? You're clearly reliving those memories. They said the statuette had disappeared, but all the other items were left untouched. Have you seen those items? Do you know where they are? Something. I vaguely remember the elders taking a suitcase containing many objects. Some seemed ancient, like inscriptions, papers. Exactly, what happened to that stuff? When you were older, you probably saw the suitcase and the items again. No, soon after, me and my dad moved to Rome. Try to remember. Tom, I'm sure of it, I've never seen them again. Tom and Jelly kicks the trash can, then he regains control. Tom seems obsessed with those items. Yeah, I don't trust this fella. I need to find out why. Lorenzo, I'm sorry. I'm agitated. Come on, let's go to dinner together. We have a reservation at a nice restaurant, and you're flying back tonight. We better have dinner early, so you have plenty of time to get ready. Regardless, we'd like to spend some time with you. I don't like Tom's insistence, but the only way to find out what's going on is to accept his invitation. Alright, at least we'll get a chance to clear things up. Yo, shout out to the socks I'm wearing. They're fuzzy, like really fuzzy and really soft. Ellie picked an Italian restaurant in your honor, and you would have preferred something more exotic, but you don't say anything. Once seated, you all start chatting. I love that I'm just like mad that the restaurant isn't exotic enough. Tom, I've got a question for you. Hope you don't find it too nosy. We cannot be the nosy ones in this situation. Tom's a freak. Go ahead, fire away. Do you really believe that statuette has magical powers? Do you think the cult you spoke about is real? Good question. First off, the Elliot family has been honoring a tradition started by our ancestor Matt. We cherish these objects, which are precious to us, although objectively they are actually quite valuable, especially from an archaeological perspective. So for us, it's primarily sentimental because it's our family's fate to zealously preserve these artifacts, but they're also worth a fortune. They're 20,000 years old and made of precious stones. Lastly, I gotta tell you, all of us Elliots have witnessed the unleashing of mysterious and dark natural forces related to this and the other two statuettes. Ah, so he's an Elliot. Now I'm asking you, if you had experienced extraordinary natural phenomena multiple times that couldn't be explained rationally, would you believe that there are unknown forces at play? What kind of phenomena are you talking about? Lots of stuff, like sudden and deadly rogue waves, seabeds that come to life, occult forces that take over the sky, and much more. So you believe there are dark natural forces that science can't explain? I believe the world is a lot more complicated than what humans have managed to figure out. That's what I believe. I have a favor to ask you, Lorenzo. I need you to make an extra effort. Helen and Isabella's stuff could not have just vanished. You need to help us find it. Tom, don't push it. Lorenzo already told you he doesn't remember. Maybe, back in Rome, he'll find a way to look through these things. I'll definitely do that. The rest of the dinner's friendly, but you're quite upset all evening even though you try to act cheerful. You think. Now that I think about it, yes, Tom might be after the character map Dad gave me when I was 15 or 16. I never paid much attention to that mysterious sequence, but now it all makes sense. The last time I saw it, it was kept in a cardboard box along with other mysterious items. He told me they were very important to Grandma and Mom and that, if they could, they would have taken them with them to America. So, we're not giving Tom that stuff. Tom's obsession with the statuette, the map, and everything related to the supposed animistic cult seems unhealthy to you. And he's not at all concerned about the distress he's causing you by awakening very painful memories of your childhood. You know exactly where the sequence is, somewhere in your study at home, still in the wooden box. Your gut tells you it's still there. But you decide to keep it to yourself. You sense something evil in the statue and in Tom's attitude, and you want nothing to do with that story. The Italian restaurant turns out to be a good choice. The food is really good. All three of you order the same three things: spaghetti with fish ragu, mixed grill, and a lemon sorbet. To go with it, a nice cold white wine. The owner of the restaurant is a friend of Tom's, of distant Tuscan origin. He's second generation and had only been to Italy twice. Toward the end of dinner, Tom gets a message on his cell phone. Let's go. We have a surprise for you. Hope it's a pleasant surprise, but please no more twists. I don't know if I can take it. Ha ha ha, I can't promise that. This will be another big surprise. I don't like this guy. Ellie seems worried. What if he just locks me in his basement? What then? Am I cooked? You walk towards the hotel, you arrive in 10 minutes. In the lobby, sitting on one of the armchairs, there's a lady, maybe 70 years old, still beautiful with short white hair and a nice face. You, Tom, and Ellie enter, and the lady stands up. She is evidently embarrassed and uncomfortable. The woman shakes your hand. Why is my mom here? Lorenzo, I'm Isabella. Those are the only words she says. Isabella doesn't let go of your hand, and you don't know what to say. You're overwhelmed by emotion, but above all by the memories that come to your mind. Why is Mom alive, and why did Ellie and Tom know about her? There's so much happening. You see yourself as a child in the arms of a beautiful woman who smells good. The scent of your mother's unique, and now you feel like you can smell it in this elderly woman with the big blue eyes that you've already seen in Tom and the two girls from Innsmouth. Oh my god, we're related to all of them. Oh, that's so awkward, because I was making jokes about, Emma flirting with him. Oops. They are eyes that look at you imploringly, but you can't do anything. You are shocked. Your shyness prevents you from saying anything. You find the strength to speak. I don't know what to say. I'm stunned, but unfortunately I have to hurry because my flight leaves in 3 hours and I still have to pack. Isabella smiles at you. Yes, of course you have to go. I'm immensely happy to have seen you again. She caresses your face. You smile and feel great compassion for her. Bro, imagine thinking your mom's dead and you meet her and you're like, sorry, Mom, I have a flight to catch. Crazy. You would have wanted to ask so many things. Your mind goes to think about your father and the pain you felt because of this woman who reappears after 37 years out of nowhere. You can only say these words. Now I need to go. I have very little time. My flight leaves in 3 hours. You know you've already said it. It's your way of getting out of a situation you don't know how to handle. You head towards the stairs to reach your room. You realize that your reaction is wrong, but you can't do anything about it. Since you were a child, you reacted like this every time something embarrassing happened. Is this really embarrassing? This time you felt an uncontrollable need to escape from the situation you found yourself in. That's actually valid. It's a weird situation. As you climb the stairs to go to your room, you reflect on what happened. Your mother's alive, and for 37 years she ignored her son, and no one ever told you anything. Oh wait, true. Yeah, we hate her. She ignored us for 37 years. You feel mocked by everyone, but especially by Tom, who invited you to Boston only for his own purposes. Yikes. Who didn't care about the suffering that would have caused you to remember the painful events of your childhood. And to top it off, he introduces you to your mother as if it were the most normal thing in the world, just a few hours before returning to Rome. Yeah, screw that guy. Once you go up to your room, you lie down on the bed with your eyes closed, try not to think about anything, but you have little time, and after a few minutes, you get up quickly to pack your bags. After a few minutes, you leave the room ready to go. Before you go out, send a message to Laura. Laura, I just met my mom. She's kind of crazy. Laura, my love, sorry if I don't explain now. You should go to my house in the study downstairs, in the library inside a drawer. There should be an old rough wooden box inlaid. Liam is waiting for you at the reception, smiling. Lorenzo, have a safe trip. We all hope to see you again soon. He hands you a small brown envelope, one of those used for commercial correspondence. The professor left it for you, asking you to open it once you're out of the USA. You take it silently and say, Liam, thank you, you're very kind, see you soon. You head to the hotel parking lot, load your luggage into the trunk of the car, and head to Boston Airport. There's not much traffic, but you can't focus on driving, you just follow the GPS directions to the airport. You're shaken up. After 37 years, you've met a woman who claims to be your mother, and you've also connected with her American family about whom you had no information until now. It all happened as if it were the most natural thing in the world. No one asked for your opinion. You've been manipulated from start to finish and invited to Boston just for that setup. That is pretty crazy. You think about your dad, the pain he must have felt when his wife disappeared, abandoning her 3-year-old son. He acted as both mother and father, sacrificing his life. You're mad at yourself. You weren't in the right state of mind to talk to that woman. To try to understand, to ask her all the questions that are now crowding your mind, and you'd like to ask now when it's no longer possible. You drive for about 20 minutes, following the sign with the airport symbol without paying much attention. You enter the rent-a-car parking lot and carefully place the car in one of the assigned spots. Before getting out of the car, you think back on what's happened these past few days. The more you think about it, the less you can come up with a comprehensive answer to all the events that have happened to you. The nightmares at night, the appearances of the old man and the child, the secrets of Innsmouth, and the sudden return of your mother. You start to think that all this can't be coincidental and that there must be an explanation for everything. Yeah, but what is it? Is it something rational and scientific, or do we have to cross into the supernatural? It's not an easy choice. Let's go the supernatural route. You look for a supernatural explanation. There can't be any rational explanation for all this. Yes, I'm sure it's something that goes beyond logic. I have to rely only on my instincts. You fall into a deep sleep without realizing it. Am I not driving? This time you live someone else's life. Oh, wait, no, we're dreaming. Innsmouth, exactly 100 years earlier, June 1922. You're a man in your early 30s and you arrive at the reception of the small hotel, the Gilman House, where you booked a room. You're pale and wearing a cheap suit, white shirt, and tie. You look a bit awkward. Your name is Howard Lovecraft, and you're a broke writer. At the reception, there's a beautiful girl around 20 years old, Anne. Good morning. You're the gentleman from New York, aren't you? Nice to meet you. I'm Anne. Good morning, Anne. Nice to meet you, too. I'm Howard Lovecraft. I booked a room for 2 nights. Of course, we've been expecting you. Welcome to our hotel. Is this your first time around here? I think I've seen this film before and I didn't like the ending. Yes, I've been to Boston a few times, but never to this part of the coast. I came to spend a couple of days by the sea. I had a bad case of bronchitis this winter and I've suffered from asthma since I was a boy. My doctor says I need some good sea air. I'm sorry about your health issues. We hope the air of Innsmouth helps you. Here's the key to room 22 on the 2nd floor. Thank you very much, Anne. Is there a nice place to dine nearby? There's a diner 2 blocks from here. It's nothing special, but it's cheap. Otherwise, you'll need to head down towards the harbor. There are a couple of places down there that serve fish, too. The diner will be just fine. I'm not really a fan of fish. Thanks, I'll head to my room now. If you need anything, feel free to reach out to me. You smile and head towards the wooden staircase covered with carpet to reach your room. To the right of the staircase on the second floor, there's room 22. You enter the room. It's very big with a small bathroom and it's dark. The curtains block the view from the window. In addition to the entrance door, there are two connecting doors leading to other rooms. You check that the two connecting are locked. The possibility of someone entering in the middle of the night is one of your recurring fears. At least the doors are locked. The room will do. After all, it's cheap. The bed seems comfortable and clean. You put your travel bag on the bed and leave the room. It's now 6 in the evening, your usual dinner time. You go downstairs, and after leaving the keys at the reception, you head towards the diner. You walk for 2 blocks and immediately spot the yellow sign of the diner. It's a fairly big place, but a bit shabby. The menu is outside the door, various types of meat, vegetables, potatoes, and some desserts. You walk in and are greeted by a waiter. Peter, it says on his badge, who leads you to the table. You can sit wherever you like because the place is practically empty. There's only one other customer alone eating at a table near the entrance. Please, take a seat wherever you like. This will do. Are you ready to order? Yes, I do. Chicken breast with a salad. Then I would like a slice of pie, if you have any. Just water to drink. We also have an excellent chocolate cake. Bro, that sounds good. Perfect, I love chocolate. A couple of minutes later, Peter brings the water to the table. First time in Innsmouth? Where are you from? I'm from New York. It's my first time here. Ooh, maybe I should put on an accent. I'm from... Nope. It seems like a very quiet town. I give up. Peter laughs. You mean a bit dead? It's in decline now, but a few years ago it was a very busy port. People came from all over the world. Down at the port, you can meet folks of every race. I didn't know that Innsmouth was an important port. I know. It wasn't widely known. Wait a moment. Your chicken breast is ready. I'll be right back. Peter goes to the kitchen and comes back with a plate of chicken and a bowl of salad. You see, Innsmouth was a unique place. Until the mid-1800s, it was a tiny fishing village abandoned by both God and men. And some interesting characters, very adventurous, happened to come here. Marsh, Orne, Gilman, Ellie, and another 5 or 6 brave and somewhat unscrupulous youngsters. Those who knew them said they were a force of nature. Even though they had no experience at sea, they learned to navigate in the blink of an eye, and most importantly, they knew how to trade in anything profitable. They had an eye for business, especially old Marsh, but Elliot too. What kind of trades? Illegal stuff? Well, no one really knows. But what's certain is that in a short amount of time, all kinds of goods and people started circulating in Innsmouth. Africans, people from the Caribbean, and even from New Caledonia, which is near Australia. These foreigners were slaves, desperate and indigenous from everywhere. They came here bringing strange Whoa! The speech impediment really jumped out there for a second. Hold on. But they also brought gold, precious stones, opium. The town transformed in just a few years and became a rich and rather extraordinary place. In short, let's just say that the boys from Innsmouth were driven by a huge thirst for adventure and wealth, and they weren't exactly scrupulous. They got hold of some ramshackle ships, sailed to distant shores, and returned after 2 or 3 months with all sorts of things. Their most important expedition was to New Caledonia. Yeah, this place keeps getting brought up over and over again. They came back rich, loaded with precious stones, and with a group of Kanak natives. Unfortunately, Gilman died during the expedition, swept away by a freak wave. They never found him. Were they criminals? Anyway, it's a great story. A group of young adventurers setting out from a gloomy port and traveling across the oceans. I wouldn't say so. They were reckless. Maybe they had some minor issues with the law, but they weren't violent. The smartest among them invested their earnings here in Innsmouth, so their families still own many businesses in the area. Smart. Marsh became an industrialist. Gilman opened the Gilman House, later bought by Elliot. Gilman House? That's the hotel where I'm staying. Of course I knew it. It's the only one in town. For many years, Innsmouth has been known for its strange rituals, rumors, and legends. For example, Peter continues his story laughing. Of every kind. Monstrous creatures, of peoples living underwater, beyond the islets off the bay. Even about people who live 100 or 200 years, who die and then come back to town years later as if nothing happened. Pause. Of course, these are just tales. There's also a rumor of a treasure, a secret place where Marsh and the others kept the goods brought here from all over the world. However, no one's ever found anything. I see. And what about these days? What's going on in Innsmouth now? I wonder if those items we have at our place are like the treasure people are looking for. It's not the same as it was. The ships still come in from all over, and there are still plenty of rumors. Goods are still unloaded in large quantities, and every now and then you still see strange people around. So it's a bit like those days, but much less so. But I have to leave you now. Excuse me, I've got other customers. You finish your dinner, the pie is delicious, you ask for the bill, pay, and leave. As you step onto the street, you decide to take a walk around the city. It's dark now. The sky is clear and starry, but there's strange electrical activity. There are swarms of lights moving quickly in the sky. You've never seen anything like it. You wander aimlessly for half an hour and then decide to go back to your hotel. You walk through the narrow streets of the town, dimly lit by lamps and starlight. Many houses have inscriptions with strange characters on the doors or on the columns of their patios. Dude, stream is going well, thank you! Some also have drawings or reliefs of monstrous creatures, part human, part beast, or creatures with parts of different animals. Fishman, frogman, octopusman. Monstrous fish with tentacles along the back, a huge toad with dorsal fins, many monstrous snakes. For a moment you think you see the octopus tentacles of a monster move, you get closer to give it a better look. But your vision blurs when you try to refocus. Strangely, if you step back a few meters, you see the monsters move, but if you get closer, your vision becomes foggy. Let's observe. Oh, the fish! This strange fish is painted everywhere. I've already seen it on 3 or 4 houses. And it's always surrounded by strange symbols. I wonder what they mean. I've never seen anything like it. You enter the room and get ready to go to bed. You're quite tired and your health doesn't allow you to exert too much effort. Besides your lung problems, you've recently recovered from a severe nervous breakdown. You don't like to talk about it, but it's a taboo subject for your family, too. It all started with occasional palpitations, but over the course of a few months, the panic attacks became almost daily, and sometimes you have hallucinations. Fortunately, things have improved a lot recently, and you hope you finally overcome the problem. You get into bed with the idea of reading a bit, but you can't focus. Your mind keeps drifting back to the travels of the boys from Innsmouth. You get into your bed with the idea of reading a bit, but you can't focus. Your mind keeps drifting back to the travels of the boys from Innsmouth. You never had thought that an unremarkable commercial port could hide such mysteries. Happy New Year! The waiter hinted that it wasn't just a bit of smuggling. Who knows what else happened here? You hold the book in your hands and try to read, but without much success. Your eyes close and occasionally the book falls from your hands. Eventually you fall asleep. A loud noise wakes you up. You've been sleeping deeply for a couple hours, maybe more. It's the middle of the night. You gasp from surprise and exhaustion. You try to reach the lamp on the bedside table to get some light, but it doesn't work. You flip the switch 3 or 4 times, but nothing. Then someone starts shaking the door of the room. Wait, didn't this happen to us? Who is it? Once, twice, many times, but no one answers. Then everything in the room starts to vibrate, softly at first, then more and more intensely. The noise grows until it becomes deafening. Someone's trying to break down the doors connecting to the other rooms. Nope. I couldn't. Nope. Is it an earthquake or am I going crazy? You have this unmistakable feeling that someone or something is in the room, slowly moving toward the bed, circling it. You remain still, terrified to move a foot or an arm, afraid of touching this disgusting creature that's getting closer. Suddenly, an overwhelming sense of absolute uncontrollable terror grows inside you. You've never experienced anything more horrifying. You want to run from the room, but you're petrified, unable to move, just lying there waiting to be attacked. There's nothing you can use to defend yourself. I keep thinking about that strange fish painted on the houses in this cursed place. I don't know why, but it calms me down. I feel better. Without even realizing it, you picture the fish in your mind, surrounded by those odd symbols. This image painted on so many houses gradually erases all your fears. It's a sign of good luck. All the goodness in the world is in that fish. Oh, it's a sign of good luck. After a few minutes, a strange light fills the room. It's dim, faint, greenish. You can see even in the dark. Nothing seems out of place. The bed, the desk, the chairs, and all the objects in the room are exactly where they should be. Then the noise starts to fade slowly. After 10 very long minutes, you begin to calm down. Whatever it was is ending. You're still scared, but the primal terror you felt earlier is gone. You try the lamp again, and this time it lights up the room. Everything is in its place. You're sure you didn't dream it. Was it an earthquake, or was it just a hallucination? You come to your senses, sit on the bed, and stay like that for a while, for at least half an hour. You try to lie down to sleep, but you're not sleepy. So then you decide to go out. It's 2 in the morning. Okay, yeah, I've seen this film before, and I did not like the ending. Let's go to the sea. Why not? The sea's in that direction. I'll get there in 10 minutes. I've been warned to be careful of the people at the port. Sounds like they're involved in some shady dealings around here. You walk quickly, not looking at houses to avoid paintings. You've had enough of all this weirdness. You're just looking for a quiet spot to clear your head and regain some clarity. Definitely not the best place to go. There's no one on the street. You start walking aimlessly, thinking about what happened, but then you realize that the only thing that matters right now is that you're still alive. The farther you get away from the hotel, the safer you feel. Ooh, the sea is not a good place to go. You head towards the sea, you walk for 10 minutes and reach the harbor. The sky is clear and the stars reflect on the calm sea. It's cool, almost cold, but it feels refreshing. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the sea is like good, and everything outside the sea is bad. There's no one around, though you occasionally catch a strong whiff of rotten fish. You see a light on the beach about a kilometer from the harbor. As you get closer, you realize there's a bonfire and a bunch of people are gathered around it. You stop about 15 meters from the bonfire. There are many people of every race and age, including quite a few elderly ones. They dance in unison like a long snake of people circling around the bonfire and chant some kind of litany. They move closer, and farther from the fire as they circle around it, a guy approaches you. Hi, how are you? Why are you out in the middle of the night? I couldn't sleep, so I thought I'd take a walk. If I'm bothering you, I'll leave. Not at all. Feel free to stay as long as you want. We don't mind if someone watches during our celebrations. You would have liked to ask what kind of ritual it was, but you decide not to ask any questions. You just stay and watch. You notice a strong, acrid smell like burning spices. On the fire, strange herbs are burning, and one by one, a celebrant replenishes the bonfire from 3 separate piles of dry plants. Thick, acrid smoke rises from the bonfire, and everyone moves closer, dancing to breathe in the smoke deeply. Ew! Don't breathe in the smoke! Dude, I have asthma. I would die on the spot if I like breathe in smoke like that. Then the dancing stops, and some people fall to the ground exhausted. After a few minutes, as if in a trance, everyone starts to chant incomprehensible litany. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. I'm not even gonna try. They form a long line, holding hands, and start heading to the water. They walk slowly, singing in unison. You can't see well from this distance, but it seems like the line of people is submerging beyond their heads and continues walking in the sea without coming up for air. They look up and see massive swarms of green light in the sky. They resemble huge tentacles and move slowly. You've never seen a sky like this. A girl approaches you, smiling, and puts a pendant around your neck. It's a leather lace with a medallion depicting a fish. On the other side of the medallion are some strange characters. The girl's about 20 years old, very pretty, and smiles in a particularly captivating way. You can see her face well because the bonfire at that moment is very high and it lights her up. She's blonde with blue eyes and has the same fish as the medallion tattoo at the base of her neck. She's stunning. This pendant is lucky. You can't even imagine how much it can help you. It's also a map to find enormous forbidden treasures. But it's better if you don't know this? She laughs. Why would she tell him that? Hey, why are you giving it to me? Who are you? My name is Helen. Grandma Helen. I gave you the pendant because I feel that you're pure-hearted, but you need good luck. Keep it for a while and don't lose it. I'm a believer, but one day I'll be the guardian of the ritual. Starting from tonight, you'll be a messenger of the god. Alright. It's a loan. I'll take it back later. This is what the girl tells you while holding your hand, then she leaves you and runs towards the sea to join the others. It's 3:15, you're sleepy, confused, dazed by the acrid smoke of the bonfire you breathed in, or everything that has happened in the strange words Helen told you. You feel the need to sleep for a few hours. Leaving the beach, you're bumped by people running towards the sea to dive in, and you make your way back to the hotel. Passing through the harbor, you see several boats arriving at the dock. They are the lifeboats of anchored ships unloading goods. You find it odd that goods are being unloaded at night. Maybe they're smuggled. What a strange place Innsmouth is. It seems abandoned, but it's actually full of life. Walking toward the hotel, you feel at peace and you can see very clearly despite the darkness, illuminated by the large green light in the sky. You feel a new strength inside you and you can breathe deeply, the fresh air of the summer night. You experience the pleasure of breathing, a pleasure you've lost since you were diagnosed with your lung problems. You feel that luck is turning in your favor. You touch your neck to look for the pendant, but it's gone. You must have lost it in the commotion. Instinctively, without knowing why, you start singing an unknown litany? Oh, heck no. Let's do the Helen option. I no longer have the medallion. Did I lose it? Did someone snatch it during the chaos? You look toward the crowd in the direction of the big bonfire in the sea. You think you see Helen. It's her and she's waving at me. What a nice girl. She was so kind to me. Hello, Helen. Thanks for everything. After participating in the ritual on the beach, you lock yourself in the hotel room. You don't leave for 3 days, haunted by the strange things you've seen. Those creatures, those chants, it can't all be real. The visions continue to torment you, showing events from the past and future. The images are so vivid that you feel an uncontrollable urge to write them all down in your diary. I must record everything before these images consume me alive. You grab a pen and start writing frantically in your diary, unable to stop. The stars, they're moving and they're coming from the abyss. The ancient buried cities are waking up. You fill page after page of your diary. The visions grow more intense, more real. Among flashes of historical events, there's a recurring figure that haunts you. A boy with glasses and a beard. He doesn't seem to be from your time, judging by his clothes, but you know somehow he's connected to you. On the third day, exhausted but determined, you decide to hide the diary. You know it's too dangerous to leave it in sight. It must not be found. No one must read these words. You lift a wooden board from the floor. With trembling hands, you hide the diary underneath, leaving no trace. It's done. Now no one will find it. Bro, are we gonna turn around? Surely not. The next morning, you leave the hotel, convinced that someone is following you. Every shadow seems like an enemy, every step a warning. I must leave. I need to get to Boston as soon as possible. With a determined stride, you head to the station. You take the train to Boston, your heart pounding in your chest, your eyes scanning every suspicious face. During the journey, you can't relax. The visions continue to hunt you, but you know you must remain with a clear mind. Boston, I'll be safe there. Finally, you see the lights of Boston on the horizon. A sense of relief mixed with resignation washes over you as the train approaches the city. I made it, but my mind, it will never be the same again. You know your visions will never leave you, but for now you need rest and time to understand the horror you've experienced. You suddenly wake up in the car. Yeah, kind of crazy. I just fell asleep driving. You know exactly where to go and what to do. To the Elliott Inn to look for the diary. You're certain that Emma's hotel is the same one from your dream. You recognize the architecture and structure despite the stylistic differences. Yes, it's time to go. You can't stay away from the truth any longer. You arrive at the Elliott Inn. Your heart is racing. You're terrified by the idea of uncovering dark truths, but determined to find out if your dream was real. Upon entering, you find no one at the reception. With a quick move, you take the key for room 22. I need to hurry. I must know the nature of those mysterious nightmares. You walk determinedly toward the room. The corridor seems endless. When you reach the door, you slide the key into the lock and step inside. The room is eerily silent. With trembling hands, you move toward the spot on the floor that appeared in your dream. It must be here, right here. You use the lamp base to lift the wooden board. Even though you know exactly where to look, you're still shocked and terrified to find out it was all real. It's pretty crazy. Oh my god, how is this even possible? You take the diary, an ancient text hidden there 100 years earlier by the protagonist of your dream. You clutch it tightly to your chest, then put the board back in place. With the diary in hand, you go down the stairs, your heart racing. A shiver runs down your spine when you run into Emma. Oh no. I didn't expect to see you here. I was just leaving, but I forgot some documents in my room. Emma is speechless for a moment. I saw no one was around, so I just helped myself to open the room. That's fine. I just stepped out for a moment to run an errand. She's gonna ask me more questions. She knows I'm up to something. You quickly say goodbye, try to stay calm as you walk away with the precious diary tucked under your arm. You start reading Lovecraft's diary carefully. This diary, the visions he had of disturbing, need to figure out what Lovecraft saw. The pages of the diary are filled with detailed descriptions of events that Lovecraft saw 100 years ago with terrifying clarity. As you read, you start to find similarities between what is written in the diary and known historical events. This description, it seems, World War II. Lovecraft described a scene of devastation and war. I see endless battlefields, men falling under relentless fire, great iron machines tear through the sky, bringing fire and death, entire cities reduced to rubble, the world enveloped in an endless conflict. You keep reading, your hand gripping the spoon as it trembles, and this seems like the attack on the Twin Towers. Oh! Wait, could he, like, predict the future? Maybe that's what it is. I see two still and glass giants defying the American sky. Suddenly, metallic birds crash into them. In an explosion of fire and smoke, people run screaming as the giants collapse, bringing death and destruction. The fish soup cools as you're completely immersed in reading. Here, he talks about the moon landing. I see a vast gray desert with the distant blue earth and the black sky. A man in a white suit with a large helmet walks slowly. A stars and stripes flag is planted on the ground. Humanity has conquered a new world. You keep flipping through the pages, finding descriptions of events that Lovecraft couldn't have witnessed at that time. The rise of fascism in Italy. I see crowds of men marching under a symbol of power. A man with a stern face and a fierce expression speaks to an adoring mass. The nation is swept into a whirlwind of violence and authoritarianism. The Berlin Wall. I see a city divided, separated by an imposing wall on one side, freedom, on the other, oppression. The wall grows ever larger, separating families and friends. The tension is palpable, the fear tangible. Its fall. I see the wall collapsing piece by piece, people dance and sing, tears of joy streaming down their faces. It's a new beginning, the end of an era of division. You close the diary for a moment, your heart racing. You can't believe what you just read. Lovecraft saw all this, how is it possible? These visions are so detailed, so accurate. I read something about 9/11 while in my kitchen. What did I miss? This guy's diary predicted 9/11. Or, maybe not I don't know if predict is the right word, but he saw it in his brain in 1922. You need to keep reading to understand more about what Lovecraft saw and the meaning behind those visions. Suddenly, you read something unbelievable. I can't believe what I'm reading. Why did Lovecraft see me in his visions? He described my arrival in Boston the moment I checked my phone. I have to find out the truth. The bearded guy is handing a strange gadget to a policeman. Oh, he described a scene I couldn't have seen. Oh my god, wait, we're about to find out what they did when they took his phone. Things are starting to get interesting. The policeman took that device and pressed some buttons. Looks like he wants to tamper with it. Oh my god, wait. What if he did tamper with his phone? And that's why he was seeing those things. Perhaps those night appearances were some kind of virus installed on the phone. This is the only possible explanation. Dude, are they trying to make this dude, go insane? Wait a second. There, it all makes sense. Ellie and Tom read an article in the Boston Globe about me and my collaboration with the Rome police. They used that article to track me down and set up a trap. A woman, after reading an article in the Boston Globe, called a mysterious man. She told him that she had finally found the man they were looking for and that they could execute the plan. You close the diary trembling. You can't explain how, but Lovecraft helped you uncover the truth. Still shaken by what you discovered, you decide to book the earliest flight to Rome immediately. You need to think. The flight is very punctual, boarding is a breeze, and in no time you're on board, sitting in your assigned seat by the window. You would have preferred an aisle seat as usual because you get a bit claustrophobic on flights and always feel antsy to get off the plane when you land. But you can't change the seat you were assigned. Ellie, when booking, picked the window seat and now the flight is full. When the plane takes off, you feel a sense of relief. Wait, what do you mean Ellie picked it? Didn't you book the flight? Because you missed your first one? Oh, I'm so confused, dude. You want to go home once in Rome. When in Rome. You promise yourself to ponder about everything that happened to you at Innsmouth, at the conference, in the hotel with Isabella, and that diary. Yeah, I need some lore updates on Isabella, because why is our mom alive? During the flight, you just want to clear your mind, watch the clouds, read some magazines, and mostly get some sleep. If you could, you'd love to fall asleep right away, wake up after the plane has landed on the runway at Fiumicino. This takes place now, I think. In 2020 or something is when this story takes place. The journal, though, was 1922. You have lunch on board and drink quite a bit of red wine and a couple of cognacs. Eventually, a bit tipsy, you fall asleep. But after a while, you start looking out the window at the clouds and sky. There's a lot of turbulence and the plane vibrates. When we left, it was a beautiful evening. The plane is flying through the clouds, which are white, but then they start to change color. First they turn yellow, then they take on shades between pink and violet, and then become a kind of pale green, which the sun's rays make bright at times. Surely this is a dream. Suddenly a light the same color as the clouds penetrates the cabin. A huge anthropomorphic figure appears in the sky. Quickly, this monstrous creature envelopes the plane with its large tentacles. Oh. You feel like the cabin is being forcefully shaken by the figure, and you fear that the vehicle may crash, subjugated by this powerful external force. It was a dream. You wake up slowly, numb. The flight attendants are starting to prepare breakfast, and you smell a strong smell of coffee and oven. There's a little over an hour left until arrival. I dreamed everything. I can't get rid of these nightmares anymore. Ooh, yikers. You think about the brownish envelope handed to you by Liam. Get up from your seat and take it from the bag in the hat rack. Oh yeah, the envelope. Inside the envelope there are 2 sheets. The first one is typed, the other handwritten. The typed one is from Angeli. Dear Lorenzo, it was necessary to return you to your destiny, which has been the same as that of your entire family for 150 years. We are not doing 1 sub equals an hour, and that was never the rule. I'm down to do another subathon eventually where we do that, like a stream like that. But this is not the one. 30 minutes? Absolutely not. Eventually, but not now. This one was already planned to not be like that. Our family's obsessed with finding what was hidden or lost by our ancestors. We must search, find, but respect the rules that have been ordered to us. In our family, and you're one of us, we have always pushed ourselves. Everyone starting from our ancestors who left Innsmouth by sea came back rich, but also full of knowledge unknown to ordinary mortals. Hope you understand and approve. We were very happy to meet you, and we are sorry that you've been away from us for so long. Dude, I don't like this guy. You're one of us, and we expect to always have you on our side, just like everyone in the family has always been, including your grandmother and your mother. My dad left. Yeah, he did! I'm sorry. I don't know how to respond to that. You have to help us find the ancient map. I hug you and hope to hear from you soon. While you mutely reflect on what you have read, you open the other sheet. Oh, it's Isabella. Dear Lorenzo, my son, when I left you, I couldn't do otherwise. I had no choice. I would like to explain to you, and I hope you will allow me. Okay, yeah, Mom, let's hear it. Let's hear it. I'm not looking for excuses, and I understand how you may feel. Know that every day and every night of your life, I have thought of you. I kiss you tight, your mother. No, you don't, you freak. Now you feel an infinite tenderness for your mother and a great sense of guilt for not having hugged her in the hotel lobby. You have tears in your eyes. To avoid showing yourself, you turn your gaze toward the window, you cry, and you're happy about it. The plane lands at 18:10 on Friday with an hour delay. Strangely, for the climate of Rome in June, the weather is not good. There's been a sudden drop in temperature. It must have rained heavily, and the sky is still dark gray, with the sun breaking through the clouds after the storm. The runaway is still wet. Laura joins you at the arrivals. You are immensely happy to hug her again. You kiss each other passionately. So, how did it go? Did you make a good impression? Not bad, I would say. My presentation was well received and everyone was very nice. He's leaving out a lot of lore. Would you like to go out to dinner? I'd like to try a restaurant near here. That much. And whatever happened to you. Anyway, that's fine. Let's talk about it later. Did you miss me? She's just like me for real. Like, did you miss me? A lot. Even though I haven't been in touch much, you know how I am. By the way, did you find the wooden box I asked you to look for among my things? Yes, I found an inlaid box that looks antique. Inside there were strange objects like jewelry and small craft items and an old document. It's a yellow sheet of paper that looks like some kind of map. The writings are in pencil and English, but there are other larger writings and ink writings which I've not been able to identify. Did you bring the box with you? No, I left it at your place on your desk. Anyway, enough of thinking about strange finds. Let's go to dinner. I've missed you so much. Me too. You're right, however. Let's have a nice evening without too much pressure. If you want to tell me something, I will gladly listen. If not, don't worry. Laura parks the car on the promenade a few steps away from the beach and the restaurant. The sky is cloudy with flashes of light filtering through the clouds. The sea is not rough, yet the waves are crashing violently on the shore as if the water beneath the surface is boiling with anger. You scan the horizon, then look up at the sky. Something is worrying you. You're very scared. Those eyeballs? Then you see something that terrifies you. It's coming here too. The monstrous creature followed me to Rome. Then it wasn't a nightmare. I won't get rid of it anymore. You look at the sea. It's now rough. The waves are crashing forcefully along the beach. It is a majestic sight, the sea full of pink light after the storm. Then in the distance you seem to see something strange. I fear this is a hallucination and no one else is seeing what I see. We're about to find out. Laura, look toward the horizon. Can't you see? What? The sea is rising as if it were swelling. Soon all that massive water will crash on the shore. I don't see anything strange, Lorenzo. The waves are all the same. It's normal for the sea to be rough after a storm. Don't worry, let's hurry up. I'm hungry. Awkward. You enter the restaurant and are greeted by the owner, a smiling man of about 60 who seats you at a table at the end of the room in a corner hidden by a series of plants. How nice. He's placed us in an intimate spot, so we are better off. I really need a nice Italian dinner. I'm very hungry. I'm a bit dazed from the trip, but I feel good. Above all, I'm really happy to be back in Rome and to be with you finally. Then you will tell me about your trip. I'm curious, even though at times you scared me because I heard you worried. Now let's look at the menu so we can order. You eat the same things. Seafood risotto and grilled tuna to drink. Start with a prosecco, and then decide to continue with the same wine for the whole dinner. For dessert, you both have ice cream. So, how was Boston? Oh, okay. So now they're gonna talk about it. Like you told me they didn't talk about it over the meal. They really waited until they ate their dessert, and then they were like, "Okay, how was Boston?" Like, no, I met my mother. Oh, that's a start. That's a start to the conversation. Laura looks at you in amazement. That is not English. You start telling everything, starting from the first night in Innsmouth, the dives, the statuette, and the strange stories about Innsmouth, Tom and Jelly, the strange episode about Lovecraft, the diary, the recovered memory about his childhood, and finally Isabella. Poor dear, it must have been a traumatic week. You didn't tell me anything when you were there. It's an incredible story. Do you think I behaved badly with her? That's not English. And anyway, you can always call her and talk to her. Then I don't understand Tom intruding her 3 hours before your departure. They could have done it earlier. That's so true. Exactly, it was one of my thoughts. It's almost like they didn't want to give me time to talk and reflect. Anyway, you're right. I'm taking the blame, whereas I shouldn't. Yeah! The rest of the story is incredible too. This legend of the statuette and the ancient rite seems surreal to me. Instead, I'm convinced that it is terribly real, but maybe they made me believe I don't know. What about Tom and Jelly? Strange guy, I don't know why, but I think he didn't tell everything. Anyway, at 40, I had the pleasure of meeting my American family. The whole story is paradoxical but true. Well, let's go home now. Should we ask for the bill? Sure. This restaurant was a nice discovery. The food is divine. You pay, say goodbye to the owner, and head towards Laura's car. It's 9:30 p.m. It's now night, but it's clear that the sky has cleared. Even the sea seems calm again. During the 30 kilometers by car towards home, you don't feel like talking. Returning to Rome has reassured you. You just want to be with Laura, who understandably has a lot of questions to ask you. Tell me about the dives in the statuette. Innsmouth has a beautiful sea. I was expecting a deep but rather boring ocean, but instead there are many rocks, caves, and small coves. I found the statuette on the first day. I went freediving to over 80 meters like I hadn't done in years. And incredibly, I didn't get too tired. It almost seemed like I still had air left. Of course, as soon as I surfaced, I was exhausted from the effort, but after a few minutes, I could have gone back down to the bottom of the sea. Maybe, plot twist, I'm a mermaid. And the second day, I went alone, still freediving to the islets less than 2 kilometers from the coast. I found a submerged wall about 30 meters high, all inscribed with incomprehensible writings and drawings of monstrous creatures. Laura laughs. Well, nothing shocking then. Really, Laura, how did they manage to inscribe a wall underwater? It was made 100 or 150 years ago, as the girl from the diving school told me, who was also a distant relative of mine. And then there's the rest, the breath, the heartbeats, the lights. What are you talking about? When I managed to take the statuette, the water around me lit up, and I heard a kind of breath and heartbeat as if a creature were awakening. That's not English. Possible, I hope you're right. Maybe I shouldn't believe this whole story, or maybe I should just convince myself that it's all a hallucination, so I don't think about it anymore. Okay, yeah, this intrigues me. Why was I able to just like not breathe underwater for so long? Do you know how long I stayed in apnea? Over 6 minutes, and when I came back up, I wasn't tired. Incredible, and without training. Exactly, it's impossible, in fact. How could it have happened? Maybe you made a mistake in taking the time. I had the stopwatch that I always use. It works perfectly. I even checked after the dive. It takes you 40 minutes to get back home. Once you arrive, you put the key in the lock. The door opens with the first click. You closed it without turning the key. I would say I closed it properly, turning the key all the way. Strange. You enter the house. Come. What? You enter the house and head towards the study. The window is open. There's a dark, raw wooden box on the desk. Here it is. Now I remember the day when my dad gave it to me. I must have been 15 or 16. Yo, what if someone broke into their place and stole everything inside? What if? After that, he never talked to me about my mom again, and if I asked questions, he would change the subject. And what did he tell you about the contents of this box? Not much. He was in a terrible mood. After lunch one day, he called me into the study. There was the box closed on the desk. Is his dad dead? I don't remember. Probably. He told me it was very important to my mother. Oh. I had to keep it as a memory because he wanted to forget. He didn't tell you anything else. He never talked about your mother again. Nothing, and he didn't want to talk about my mother anymore. I tried several times, but he reacted badly, so I stopped too. You continue to caress the inlays on the box. You notice that they represent a kind of octopus with large tentacles. Lorenzo, someone has been here? Oh. Guys, I told you. Why do you say that? I don't think anything is missing. I'm sure I locked the door with more than one turn of the key. The window was closed, and I distinctly remember leaving the box diagonally on the desk, not perfectly aligned as it is now. Bro, I predicted it. They stole our shiz. They stole our shiz. I won't have this. Now you're getting carried away, nothing is missing. I don't want to think about absurd things either. Maybe you're right, it must be my imagination. Open the box. Inside there are some jewels, small stones with scratches. Look, they don't represent anything special, but they're made of the same green stained stone as the statuette I found at the sea. According to Tom, it's an extraterrestrial stone, a meteorite containing antimony. And what is it? A precious stone? It is the subject of the Philosopher's Stone, and according to ancient symbolism, it represents the forces of evil. I was unaware of its existence, but now I looked it up on Google. Laura laughs, from bad to worse, indeed. The papers are all there, some are handwritten, they contain strange characters with comments in English. The map is the largest sheet, it looks ancient, folded in four. Still weird, someone definitely came in and looked at our stuff. The contents are clearly distinguishable, but drawn in an imprecise and different way from how they are today. There are long, thin lines on the oceans, which could be sea routes, and some small lines connecting lands now separated by the sea. At the bottom of the box is a smaller sheet. Laura takes it and realizes that it's a photograph, facing downward, which she had not noticed. Strange, I looked at the box carefully and I don't think there was this photo. Who placed it? Maybe it's simply didn't notice. Please don't come up with mysterious hypotheses too. Well, you're right. I think you influenced me with your stories. The photo shows a young, smiling couple. The woman is holding a baby and sitting on a couch. The man is your father. Laura hugs you. You look at the photo, moved. My dad, he never recovered. Poor man. When I was little, he always talked about her. In the last 20 years of his life, he never mentioned the subject again. Maybe it was his way of healing from an obsession. And what did he tell you about this stuff? You take the map. I have very confused memories. According to legend, whoever possesses this map will be able to find images of a deity of vital importance to the followers of a religious sect originating from New Caledonia. I vaguely remember that a couple of times Dad also mentioned a treasure, enormous and cursed riches that my mother and grandmother talked about. Obviously, Dad didn't believe a word of this whole story. He used to say it to mean that Mom's American family was a bunch of crazies. I think it's the same ritual that Tom and Jelly talked about, the archaeologist who invited me to Boston and who's a distant relative of mine. The one you told me about, your mother's distant cousin? Yes, that's right. Tom is looking for this map. He has an idea that it might be left in Dad's hands. Did you tell him that you had the box? Not at all. Tom seemed obsessed. I saw some malice in his obsession, and so instinctively I told him that I knew nothing about it. In my opinion, you got too influenced by the events of Innsmouth and it infected me too. Laura, this has nothing to do with you. Perhaps telling Ellie and Tom everything would allow us to put this behind us. You think carefully about Laura's words and allow yourself to be convinced. Why? Bro, she's gaslighting me. Why are we sharing this with Tom and Ellie? They don't need to know. Dude, all women are the same. You delude yourself for a moment that you can forget all the events that have happened in recent weeks. Part of me is not convinced of this, but the love for your girlfriend is stronger. On second thought, I should tell them that we found the box. You're right. Dude, wait, what if Laura's low-key an op? Oh my gosh, she could be an op. Oh my gosh, she could be an op. I want to get this off my chest and start over. I've had enough of it. Tomorrow we'll call Ellie and Tom and tell them everything. What if we're related to Laura? Actually, no, we're not. She doesn't have blue eyes. Never mind. Blue eyes is like the whole relative thing. I'm glad you made this decision. I know that you're still confused about answers, but I'm sure that by getting rid of this secret, you'll feel better. I mean, she kind of has a point, but like still, like, do we really want to share it with them? I just want you to be okay, nothing else. You will see that we will be able to forget everything. You wake up early and decide to call Tom and Ellie right away. You want to get this out of your mind as soon as possible. Hi Tom, how are you doing? Lorenzo, good morning and welcome. Yes, everything is okay. Did the trip go well? Yes, thank you. Everything was calm. The flight was on time. Hi Lorenzo, I'm here too. Hi Ellie, good to hear from you again. So I searched through my father's things and found an old wooden box which might contain interesting things for you. Great, what's in the box? Show the various objects. There's this map, about 20 jewels, and a photo, this one which is probably just a memory. Lorenzo, did your father leave any other family stuff? The photo was probably taken by your grandmother, who was passionate about photography. Can you send me the map and the jewels? Certainly, I'll send them to you tomorrow. I don't like this. I don't trust this guy. Lorenzo, search through the old family things. We were looking for the two missing statuettes, which we are certain are somewhere in the sea. They have enormous archaeological value. Well, if they're in the sea, then I'm not going to have them in a map, I know. Why are you certain they're in the sea? Because according to believers, that's where they must be preserved. Could the map be the right starting point? Oh, he's using the map for it. I don't think so. I should look at it carefully, but I don't think so. That map indicates the route of sea voyages made by our ancestors and the other Innsmouth boys. I've seen others like it. Several years ago, from 1850 onwards, there are others around Innsmouth. Alright, I'll look in the basement among Dad's other stuff. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you are doing for the family. We are truly happy to have found you again. I don't know. This guy seems kind of selfish. Like, I don't know. If you really liked me, you would have reached out earlier instead of when I was 40. You were just like Papa. Unfortunately, it didn't go as you'd hoped. Tom and Ellie want more information. You feel sorry for Laura, but you know she'll understand. You understand that the only way to end this story is to get through with it, even though you still dislike Tom. Yeah, I'm a Tom hater. You decide to go to sleep. It's been a long and tiring day. You need to rest. It is early in the morning. The sound of the phone wakes you up. Hello. This is awkward. Hello, Lorenzo. How are you? Was the return trip okay? Sorry to bother you. I have no intention of intruding into your life. Why do you have my number, freak? I've been out of it for 37 years, and it's not fair for me to expect to get back in after so long. You say nothing, almost confirming what you heard. Inside you feel bitter resentment toward that woman mixed with a kind of compassion. I have thought long and hard about whether to call you or not, but I think you need to know. That's not English! Your father was a very decent man, but I felt he was an obstacle to my freedom. I confided in my mother, who was an even freer spirit. Our family is like this: sea people, travelers, even a bit adventurous, in love with mystery and discovery. We Elliots are a special, very close-knit family. Oh, so I'm an Elliot? When your grandmother and I lived in Italy, we were in constant contact with the American relatives. We were forced to return to America because your grandmother did not agree with the dangerous choices that young people were making and wanted to protect her son, my only brother. That's how we decided to disappear. We didn't tell anyone because we knew they would have stopped us. Your grandfather and your father were possessive men, or maybe just in love with their wives. But my intention was not to leave permanently. I thought of coming back. I didn't want to leave you forever. Once I arrived in America, I called Giorgio, your father. He treated me well, he was understanding. We spoke 3 or 4 times a week. But he didn't want me to have direct contact with you because he said you would have suffered. I felt guilty, and so I respected his will. For a few years, I followed you from afar. Giorgio would inform me about your growth, school, he would send me your photos. But I never spoke to you until you were 7 years old. He told me he didn't want to hear from me anymore. He needed to get rid of me definitively. He thought I would have come back, and staying in touch made him suffer. Yeah, I understood his point of view, and did what he asked. I have to say that the contacts with him have become more and more unpleasant. He despised me because I had escaped from responsibilities, but he couldn't get rid of my memory. This happened the same year as the tragedy. What tragedy? My brother, your uncle, he died at sea, crashed on the rocks by a wave. I'm telling you the truth, Lorenzo. I still have all your photos, from 3 to 7 years old, and everything your father sent me. If you want, I can show them to you. I don't care about you anymore. I believe you. It's not necessary. Now I apologize, but I need to reflect. Maybe we'll talk another time. I have to say goodbye. Bye. Of course, I understand you. Goodbye. Before you go, can I tell you something? Yes, tell me. I told you these things because they are true, and it's right that you know them. However, as a mother, I behaved shamefully. The fact is that at that time, I attached great importance to my family matters. Today, I realize that I lost the most important thing in my life, and I remember your father with tenderness and respect. You remained still reflecting for a long time. Your father kept the truth from you, thinking he was protecting you. Would your life have been better knowing that your mother still loved you, even though she had left? You go to your studio to gather ideas. Someone knocks on the door. It's Laura. She came to help you find the items Tom is looking for you. Let's go to the basement. I put all the papers and objects that Dad kept on his desk in a trunk. I want to see if I find something interesting. Let's go and see. You live in an apartment that your father left you. It's not very big. So many objects. Oh, we're left in the basement. On the semi-basement floor of the building is quite large. Look, your childhood toys, your first bicycle. Dad would throw away all his things when he didn't need them anymore, but he jealously kept mine. He was an unhappy but deeply affectionate man. That's the trunk. He must have been a wonderful father. Size. Here we are. These are the objects and his papers. When he left, honestly, I put everything away without looking carefully. You start opening the envelopes with the cards, but you don't find anything important. Look here. This is you as a child, and this must be your mother. In this envelope, there are only old family photographs. Show me, yes. You start scrolling through the photographs one by one. At least 10 depict Isabella holding her baby. You start to remember. It's like seeing many photos of yourself with your mother has finally opened a book of memories of when you were very young, like 2 or 3 years old. We were in the garden, all around the big rough wooden table. The grandparents, the old uncles, Dad and I always in Mom's arms. Everyone kissed me when they approached me. Dude, that's what people do to me too. Shit. My mother was very affectionate with me. My grandmother was a lively woman, always cheerful. Mom was very similar to her. Grandpa was more serious. Dad was smiling. Had a toy in my hand like a fish and a pendant around my neck. I bet the pendant has the fish on it. The pendant! Let's go back home. I remembered something. What? When I was little, I had a pendant around my neck. It was a leather lace with a medallion depicting a fish, but on the back it had some writing. Now I remember it well because I kept it for several years. Dad said it was a memento of Mom, and she would have wanted me to always wear it. I took it off around 2 years old because I was teased at school. Oh, it must be in one of my drawers. At the bottom of a drawer, among other forgotten objects, you found the pendant. On the back, the medal has a series of engraved characters, incomprehensible. The usual characters, who knows what they mean? It's a sequence of about 2 different characters. All of Innsmouth is full of them. That boy on the beach in Innsmouth said that these medallions were the sacred fish on one side and the characters on the other are parts of a map. To find some treasure and bring luck to those who wear them. You're in Rome, walking through the crowded streets of the center. You feel uneasy, as if someone is following you. You look behind to see a mysterious figure. It reminds you of one of the bikers you saw in Innsmouth. Is it possible? What is one of those guys doing here? It's not that common to see someone like him in Italy. I must shake this guy off before he does something dangerous. You quicken your pace, try to blend into the crowd. You hear the man's footsteps behind you getting faster. You slip into a narrow alley and Trastevere, hoping to lose your chaser. The biker realizes he's been spotted and starts chasing you more determinedly. You try to lose him through the alleys, your heart's pounding. You turn into another alley, but the biker is almost upon you. You hear his steps getting closer till you reach him, knocking him to the ground with a shoulder. What is happening right now? Is that Jeff from Marvel Rivals? What is he doing here? The biker lunges at you. You manage to see his deformed face up close. It is a horrible sight. The biker's face is distinctly different from that of a normal human being. You struggle with all your strength, managing to free yourself from the biker's grip. You start running again, quickly crossing the main road. The mysterious figure in the heat of the chase crosses without looking. A car comes and hits him violently. I should not be laughing, but I'm so laughing right now. The biker falls to the ground, taking his last breath. Frightened and with your heart in your throat, you quickly move away. Jesus. You return home, still in shock from what just happened. You close the door behind you and lean against it, trying to calm down. Who was that man? Why did he follow me to Rome? I need to find out what's happening, but for now I just need to try to stay safe. You're at home, locked in your study. Your heart is still pounding after the incident with the biker. You pick up the phone and call Ellie. I have to face this situation. I can't keep running away. Hello? Lorenzo? Ellie, I know you sent someone after me. I know you want something from me. What are you talking about? I don't understand. Don't pretend you don't know. I know you want the map of letters and numbers to open the crypt under Plum Island. Lorenzo, please. It's not what you think. Now I'll decide how this story will end. Yeah! Oh. Ooh. Okay, so I can hand over the code to Ellie. I go and I open the crypt for them. Or I can keep the secret to myself. Wait, okay, so I definitely want to do one at the bottom too. Wait, this is hard. I'm leaning towards the second option, I think. I'm actually pretty heavily leaning towards the second option. Okay, I'm handing myself over. Ellie, I'll see you at Plum Island. I'll open the crypt for you. Okay, Lorenzo, it's better for everyone. See you there. You prepare to meet Ellie and Tom. You know it's risky, but you need to see with your own eyes what that crypt hides. After quickly completing the boarding procedures, you board the plane to Boston. You can't contain your anxiety and excitement. Finally, I'll get to the bottom of this story. Before heading to Plum Island, though, Tom owes you some explanations. True! What really happened on the day Uncle Arthur died? Someone is not telling me the truth. Something's don't add up. My dog is being silly. Let's take a look at this. There she is. Why are you just laying there? Look at it sitting there. It's so cute. Okay. She loves rubbing her head against, like, my springboard right here. My cat does it too. Whoa. Alright, who thinks we're gonna have another weird dream again? I think so. Soon your sleep becomes restless. You have a vivid dream that provides an alternate perspective on the terrible maritime accident involving your family. Great. You see your mother and your uncle setting off for Plum Island and the boat sinking into the abyss. The sounds of the waves gives way to that of an organ. Suddenly you see a crowded church, two coffins at the middle of the nave, and your grandmother offering flowers. You wake up with tears in your eyes. The dream has shaken you. Mom told me a completely different story. What if she's pretending to be Isabella? As you're wrapped in new doubts and questions, the captain's voice announces the plane's landing. There's like so much happening. I just want the truth. You descend the boarding stairs, weighed down by the anxiety you try to hold back before meeting Tom. Tom and Emma are waiting for you outside the gate as you two agreed on the phone. The two seem to share the same expression, a mix of madness and trepidation. As soon as they see you, they smile and come towards you. Hello, Lorenzo. It's good to see you. Are we related to Ellie too? You made the right decision. You'll see that you won't regret it. We'll see, Tom. I have a few things to ask you. Sure, you can ask me anything you want in the car. In the car? He's kidnapping me. Let's not waste any more time. The boat is already ready at Innsmouth. Hello, Lorenzo. Yes, I've already prepared everything. The marine weather forecast is good for now, though a storm is expected in a few hours. We're not in a hurry, but just in case, it might be best not to waste too much time. Marine weather conditions can change rapidly. You start driving, eager to reach Innsmouth. The first minutes of the journey pass in silence. You reflect for a long time before asking your questions to Tom. Why am I driving? I should be passenger princess in this situation. Suddenly, you break that strange silence. Tom, once and for all, I want the truth about the accident that involved my uncle. What really happened? Okay, I'll tell you everything I know. It's right to free you from all this pain. That terrible morning, your Uncle Arthur, obsessed with the legend of Plum Island, decided to set out to sea in search of who knows what treasure. I rushed to the point with your mother and grandmother. We tried to convince him in every way, but nothing. Your uncle decided to go alone. I still remember Isabella trying to get on the boat, but he pushed her away violently. Arthur seemed out of his mind. For several hours we didn't know anything until we saw the police heading to the pier. Some fishermen had found some shred of his clothes and alerted the authorities. Ruh-roh. It was a terrible day, believe me. The curse will end, however, I assure you. Today we'll finally close this circle together. Are you really sure that my mother didn't leave that morning? I ask you this with my heart in my hands. And so, have you lost your mind? You already met your mother, Isabella, the other day. How can you still have doubts? Tom's words seem sincere. You trust him and prefer to abandon all doubts. Even if it's a lie, it's more reassuring than the truth. Sorry to interrupt, but we've arrived. Wait a few minutes while I check if everything's okay and start the boat. Tom, do you remember the exact point where the characters of the sequence need to be engraved? Yes, Emma, don't worry. As soon as we arrive at Plum Island, I'll show Lorenzo where to use the blade. Well, we are ready then. You'll find the equipment on the boat. The hammer and the knife are below deck, while the wetsuits and tanks are here to the side. Whenever you're ready, we can leave. I'm ready. Are you ready, Lorenzo? Yes, I was born ready. I can't wait to put it into the story. Emma releases the mooring, starts the engine, and exits the harbor at low speed. After 500 meters, she accelerates and heads toward the islands. In a few minutes, they arrive at their destination. Do you have reliable information? I hope so. I think so. Good. We've been searching for many years. Yes, let's hope this is the right time. Despite Tom not being sure about the outcome of the mission, you're not influenced by his uncertainty. You know perfectly well that this is the only chance to get to the bottom of this story, and you'll do everything in your power not to let it slip away. Tom and Emma dive with their tanks. They enter the caves, looking for the illustrated wall that you had also found. They know it like the back of their hand due to the many dives they've done in their past. Tom recognizes the symbol imprinted on the pendant. On the wall, there are several depictions of fish, but each is surrounded by different signs. There, Emma, stop the engines here. Let's drop the anchor at there. I'll prepare the tanks. Okay, yes, it's fine. The bottom is shallow and sandy, and the anchor won't get stuck. Lorenzo and I will go first. You join us as soon as you can. Alright. Whoa! Tom points out the spot where you should dig the knife, showing you the right direction and orientation. The stone is slippery because it's covered with algae, and after a few attempts, you find the groove. Finally, you insert the knife and leverage it. Through the opening just created by the blade, you see a blinding light, while Tom's eyes light up with a fury and overwhelming euphoria. Suddenly, shadowy figures approach. They have beastly features. Tom gestures for Emma to run away. What's happening? I won't leave you alone. Tom insists. He's worried and frightened. The reflection from the seabed illuminates the mysterious entities. They are monstrous marine creatures. Dude, I love the art in this game. It's definitely my favorite part about it. Quickly, the group of monsters surround Tom, completely ignoring your presence. As his screams echo through in the cave, the monsters devour him in seconds. GG. You're in shock and fear for your life, but the creatures seem not to want to harm you. Okay, so Tom was the bad guy. Period. On the contrary, it becomes evident that they want to help you open the gap you previously created. OMG. The mysterious entities push you toward the abyssal door and help you fully clear the passage. You enter the hole and feel yourself being pulled into another dimension. Emma, after witnessing the whole scene, is petrified with terror, but she gathers the courage to move away cautiously. The sky is a purplish hue and a rumble announces a storm. Emma boards the motorboat and speeds away, trying to leave her fear behind. Yeah, sure, just leave me. The rogue wave crashes on the docks of the harbor after 5 minutes. Many boats are violently smashed and disappears. An hour later at the harbor, they realize that Tom, Emma, and Lorenzo have not returned and are missing at sea. Some decide to go look for them. They said they were going to the Plum Islands. The sea is calm now. Within minutes, they're near the islands. Moving at low speed, they start to circle around them. They see him almost immediately. She managed to anchor the motorboat to a rock, but she's in shock. Between two rocks, 50 meters away, a diving suit floats. It's all that's left of Tom. Yikes! With effort, Emma reaches the surface. After a few minutes, Ellie, who heard the news from neighbors, and Isabella, who was told by the latter that Lorenzo had left with Tom, arrived at the port. Despite being devastated by the loss of her husband... Oh yeah, I forgot they were married. Oops. Ellie reaches Emma and warmly embraces her. Isabella, however, has a strange expression. She doesn't seem concerned about Lorenzo's absence and appears to know more than she's letting on. Oh, Emma. I feel so guilty. I should have never allowed Tom and Lorenzo to leave. What happened? Are you okay? Emma struggles to describe what she witnessed. Her eyes have seen the abyss of madness. With a voice broken by fear, she begins her story. Yes, I'm physically fine. Fortunately, I managed to save myself. A group of sea creatures surrounded us, who managed to help me escape just before being devoured. Those monsters, I'll never forget them. Before Ellie can respond, Isabella interrupts, asking about Lorenzo. If it's as she thinks, the boy is facing the most difficult challenge of his life. Emma, when did you last see Lorenzo? Is he still alive? Why hasn't his body been found yet? Emma prepares to tell another unbelievable story. She saw Lorenzo disappear into the sea opening, pushed by those creatures. She doesn't understand what it all means, but prefers to tell things as they are. I don't know if Lorenzo is still alive. I only know those monsters spared him and pushed him towards the opening of the crypt. I saw him disappear through the passage. Isabella's suspicion is confirmed. She sighs, hoping that Lorenzo will make the right choice. What does that mean? The fate of the world is in his hands? Will he accept his role as guardian, or will he be tempted by the god of the abyss? What? To avoid arousing suspicion and to keep the secret, she remains silent, pretending to be in shock. Ellie carefully considers the answer. Her niece has confirmed what she already suspected. The fishermen did not honor their part of the agreement. What is happening? They had promised Tom great goods in exchange for opening the crypt, but it was a bluff. Those creatures preferred to get rid of the only witness to the great underwater secret. They had promised Tom great goods in exchange for opening the crypt, but it was a bluff. Those creatures preferred to get rid of the only witness to the great underwater secret. Ah! There's just one thing that doesn't add up. Why was Lorenzo spared? Could he be the chosen one? Ellie decides to keep these doubts in the story to herself. She must protect her niece at all costs. And must stay calm. Those monsters you saw are just a visual hallucination. Yap. As an experienced diver, you know well the effects of hypoxia. Tom must have lost control of the oxygen in his tank and drowned. My poor husband. He surely tried to remove his suit to reach the surface, but it was all in vain. Emma's not convinced by her aunt's words. It seems like she's hiding something. It didn't go like that. I'm sure they were hallucinations. I know well the effects of lack of oxygen, and the illusions it causes are less tangible. And how do you explain those marks on the diving suit? Probably a school of fish torn apart, thinking they had found prey. I know you're in shock, Emma, but what you're telling me is beyond any logic. Now I'll take you home. A few days of rest and you'll see that the real memories will resurface. Emma begins to doubt what she saw. She thinks her aunt might be right. After all, such creatures don't exist in nature. However, she doesn't understand why Isabella showed anything but skepticism when she heard her story. Despite her instinct suggesting that there's something strange about this story, she decides to listen to her aunt. Dude, I'm trying to find out what happened to Lorenzo. It's definitely more reassuring for her to believe Ellie's version, less imaginative and more credible. Alright, Aunt, I hope you're right. Let's go home. Ellie breathes a sigh of relief. At least for now, it seems that Emma has believed her. So is Lorenzo, never going back to Italy? What's happening? Priya would definitely know how to implant false memories in Emma, but now it seems unnecessary. That's crazy. Why are we even thinking about that? Where am I? Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Is this the real life? Or is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide, no escape from reality. I used to love that song. Maybe I never really left for Innsmouth, and I'm just dreaming in my bed in Rome. After all, it wouldn't be the first time, yet everything seems so real. It seems like those creatures have taken me to some kind of cave, but for what purpose I don't understand. All I know is that a strange energy is keeping me trapped in this place. I must keep going and not be afraid. There must be a reason why fate has led me to this cave. As you explore the cave, you start to hear a persistent gurgling sound. You can't explain it, but the noise is so persuasive and hypnotic that it compels you to seek its source. After several hours of wandering through the labyrinth tunnels of the caves, you finally find the source of the sounds. It's a water chasm that seems to have no bottom. As soon as you touch the abyss with your hand, you hear monstrous footsteps on the other side. It's strange, but they seem familiar. This can't be. Maybe they're the same ones I heard in my dreams. An abyssal roar begins to call you and you can't pull back. You should be running out of that cave, but instead you decide to reach your arm into the chasm. Okay, dude. Suddenly, you feel nothing. You've fallen into an infinite abyss beyond space and time. Minutes pass, maybe hours, maybe eons. You hear that terrible monstrous sound again, this time closer. Suddenly, a spectral glow illuminates your surroundings. What is going on? You find yourself inside an underwater prison. In front of you stands a colossal marine entity, held back by thick chains that extend to the bottom of a large tank. It looks like a gigantic fish with two deep and terrifying blue eyes and sharp jaws. Dude, what if the monster's just like, I'm your grandma? That'd be kind of crazy. However, the monster doesn't seem hostile towards you. On the contrary, the creature begs you to free it. It utters... Ooh, maybe we don't free that. It utters no words, but its piercing gaze and bellow are enough to make you understand its intentions. As if suddenly seized by rapture, you address the entity. Who are you? What do you really want from me? Why should I release you? The abyssal creature remains impassive, leaving an eerie silence. You don't know what to do. Releasing this creature could be dangerous, but what would happen if you refused? In the creature's gaze, you glimpse a glorious future, but at the same time, you wonder why this marine divinity is imprisoned in such a remote place. Yo, we gotta let it go for the plot. We gotta let it go for the plot. You release the creature. You approach the monster, looking for a way to break its chains. After a quick glance, the monster begins to emit a blinding glow. Visions of boundless aquatic realms, lost immortal beings, and cosmic creatures flood your mind. After moments of chaos, you regain clarity, but with a new awareness. You're no longer a human, but a creature that has waited for years to awaken from the depths of the ocean. Fishermen, octopuses, sharks, and the sea's inhabitants bow to you. The reign of Dagon has begun, and it's only the start of the ancient dominion. This makes no sense. End. You serious? That was the end? That game didn't make sense for a second, by the way. And that's why I kept playing it, because I was like, this doesn't make any sense, and I need to figure out what's happening, and I never figured it out. When you look up Isabel 22 Explained, I show up. Okay, so that was a game.